And what causes the stroke?
That's a blocked artery, and what is important to know is that more and more relatively young people get strokes, which was unknown before. So it's not due to arteriosclerosis, but to a certain blockage. That means that's usually stress and diet related.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays we manage to really combine these factors very well. If you're hyper stressed and live from potato chips, don't drink enough, and no, hydrate yourself with soft drinks, then you're on the way on a high likelihood. Devotees do one thing which is also increasing the likelihood very much, is they have too little B12 and usually high homocysteine, which increases stroke likelihood a lot.
What about what about hemorrhagic strokes?
That's a pretty rare one. It happens, but it usually happens if people have like an aneurysm in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So these are more special cases. They have always been there. They are connected also with hypertension. But what we need to be more concerned is the ischemic stroke, which is a lot more common and happens a lot more often with young people, actually.
I've seen with some of our older devotees, we've had the hemorrhagic strokes.
Yeah, usually because they were on blood dilution and hypertensive.
Yeah, they were very hypertensive.
Yeah, so that happens then, but it's, as I said, pretty rare.
So what should people avoid to avoid a stroke? And what should people do?
They should get proper rest and sleep and relaxation, that they're not too stressed.
What does that mean, proper sleep?
Well, it depends on your activity. If you really have a lot of challenging tasks, you need usually between 7 to 9 hours sleep. If you have just like meditational or devotional things to do without stress, then you get along with 6 hours. But it also varies from person to person.
Oh, what about the statement we read that anyone who gets more or less than 6 hours of sleep is in the mode of ignorance?
Well, we in the West are a lot more in the stage of passion. Therefore, for our recreation, we need the mode of ignorance more than somebody who's just doing pujas all day and just chills. I mean, doing pujas is a very relaxing thing, or just chanting, but we don't do that. We just run around and have a very different lifestyle. And we try to combine a Western lifestyle with the Indian lifestyle, and we do very poorly at that. So you can see that the Goswamis and so on, they really did very well with very little sleep, but they had a very, very different life. They were really deeply absorbed in Krishna all the time and not in material activities. Even if it's service, it's something that really drains your brain energy physically. That's why Brahma has having 12 hours of sleep also, not just 6 hours, obviously.
That's a very good example.
Yeah, and he's also listening to relaxing music. It's not just for sense gratification. He's having his performances up there.
That's very interesting. And also, Prabhupada said anyone who drives a car regularly or long distances should get at least 8 hours of sleep
I think running around and not sleeping is a way that really is detrimental to your mental and physical health long term. Because you cannot think straight anymore. You cannot accomplish anything really of importance.
But Prabhupada stated that after some devotees got in car accidents and died.
Yeah, there were many of them, yeah.
Prabhupada also said that someone should not drive an hour past his normal bedtime.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important advice. Also at night you have a lot of drunkards on the road.
Now in spiritual life, I've noticed that there is, let's say, a great deal of guilt if you feel that you're deviating from the highest level of devotional service. For example, with the sleep, I find that many devotees, if they get over 6 hours a day, they just feel extremely guilty about it. But you recommend, in fact, that devotees and people in general, and people who achieve and doing any sort of work in this world, get more than 6 hours.
Yeah, just realistically speaking, there are people who do well with 6 hours, but most don't here in the West. And you see that also in businesses and in so many places where there's an emphasis on achievement. It doesn't work out, it doesn't pay out, because people just end up burnt out. They get sick. Sicker and sicker, and they get less and less efficient and more depressed. to be practical, you cannot have an attractive movement if you have a movement of sleep-deprived people walking around who cannot think straight, really. And the problem with sleep deprivation, you don't even realize that you don't think straight anymore because you're just too tired, really.
Plus, it's dangerous. Like Prabhupada
Yeah.
noted when devotees started to have car accidents, and many devotees passed away after those car accidents, that they were falling asleep. In fact, there's one interesting story. Some devotees died in a car accident, and the other devotees said to Prabhupada as they were recounting this accident, that was Krishna's mercy. And Prabhupada said, no, that was their foolishness. And then after that, Prabhupada gave us the direction that anybody who was driving a car long distances should sleep at least 8 hours a day. And in addition to that, people should not sleep or not drive more than an hour to an hour and a half past their normal bedtime.
That's interesting because I remember that so many, or most, just after festivals drive back at 1 o'clock at night, which is the most dangerous time. During the night, the risk of dying on the street increases fourfold. We just got hit by a drunkard who smashed our car entirely. My wife got a whiplash.
And what time of night was that?
That was like 10 o'clock, 10 minutes in the night. And he was drunk and drove 60 kilometers too fast in full speed into our car. Yeah, I think it just doesn't pay off. It's really important to understand what you need to continue serving Prabhupada and be happy. Because, and after all, long term you cannot do anything unless you're complete and happy. It just doesn't work out.
That's nice to know.
Yeah, and people nowadays really are not into martyrs anymore so much. It used to be, a good thing to become a martyr, but it's really out.